We once had an insect which was called the tsetse fly, and it carried a parasite which was called nagana and spread a sleeping sickness onto the livestock. It was mostly dominant around the Okavango Delta region, or just the northern part of our country. And the government saw this as a threat to the beef cattle industry, which by that time was the most economy earner or booster in our GDP. So the government had to find a way to somehow deal with this tsetse fly and expand the beef cattle industry. That's why the cordon fences were set up to try and protect the wildlife areas from the domestic areas. So simply the area was zoned into small compartments. Mostly with the wild animals that lived with the tsetse fly around the Okavango Delta region, they were not really harmed. They had some tolerance to live with the tsetse fly. So the tsetse fly simply didn't bother them and they could live peacefully alongside. With our cattle or most of our livestock, they have lost some of the survival traits to be able to deal with such an insect. So that's why they couldn't live side by side. And then the government ran one of the most uh, high eradication campaigns from the mid 90s onto the early 2000s to deal with the removal of the tsetse fly. Uh, blue mats or sails were set up to attract and kill the tsetse fly. Some chemicals like endosulfan were sprayed from the airplanes into the affected areas. And mostly this was done around August, just when it's still cold and before our summer. Because from the winter time, that's where you have low tsetse fly activity and you can deal with it. Otherwise, from the summer months onwards into the rain season, that's when it multiplies and breeds and becomes hard to control. So the government targeted those months of August, just before the temperatures get too hot, to deal with the tsetse fly. And then fast forward, the tsetse fly was then removed. So always remember, with Mother Nature, you remove something that was meant to be there, it will always cause an imbalance some way or somehow in the ecosystem. And you can't always get the immediate results or changes because some things will take time for you to see that, oh, removing the tsetse fly, now the impact comes after 10, 15 years. So what has happened since we removed the tsetse fly out of our ecosystem? That will be a $1 million question to ask yourself. Yes. So it's a very debatable thing, but the government by that time had no choice because the tourism industry was just growing. This photography safari thing was not really a big thing. It was still growing, exchanging from hunting times to now photographic safaris. But by that time, the beef cattle industry was the most important industry that was bringing in a lot of income. Yes, because remember, most of our beef we exported to the European Union. Just from the late 50s to the 60s, the numbers of cattle were even more than our population, up to 3.5 million cattle. So that's a very interesting subject to talk about. Thank you.